Mr. Corbett for the S&D.
Thank you. Commissioner-designate for Oceans and Seas, I might add. You might want to have your title adjusted to make that clear. Do you agree that the problem of marine litter in our oceans and seas has become one of the biggest threats to our marine environment and also causes huge economic and social damage to coastal communities? Fishers often pick up marine litter in their nets. Historically, they were penalised for that. They had to pay to dispose of it if they brought it back to port. That's beginning to change in some countries. And, of course, our EMFF does support investments, including waste and marine litter collection investments and the Fishing for Litter programmes, which have been partially successful, a low take-up so far of that fund, but partially successful. But do you agree that it's now time for comprehensive European legislation aimed at tackling the disposal and recycling of marine litter in EU waters? And how do you intend to tackle that in your term of office?
I think it is important that actually under the EU Green Deal, through my mandate, I will develop an initiative for clean, healthy, and of course sustainably managed seas and oceans. And it is important for reaching 30% goal of marine protected areas under Natura 2000, and not only that 30%, but of course it has to be very well maintained, very well implemented. That's one. Important to know that it doesn't mean that if it's a Natura 2000, a protected area, that activities cannot be done, economical activities like fishing. It's way away from that. Of course, it is important to ensure sustainable fishing, and talking about reducing pollution, including marine litter, it is important that actually circular economy plan kicks in, and we don't throw away resources which can have value, but we put them back into our economy, reuse it, make out of it different appliances. Regarding incentivizing fishermen and women, many countries already does that, but I think we have to go even further than that. Ports, they do a lot of activities, and we have to ensure that those activities are sustainable. Water which is taken and then returned back would be cleaned up, and so on. In order to reach all those goals, of course, we have to look to make a proper dialogue and to incentivize those sustainable goals which we want to reach.
This and many of the other issues addressed in the question and answer session now might lead to the need for new measures to be taken by the EU. But in your mission letter, it implies with this one in, one out principle that any new measure requires the repeal of an existing measure, no matter how necessary that existing measure might have been. Do you accept that measures and legislation that we take should be evaluated according to its merits and not according to some statistical fetish about the total number?
Thank you. Thank you for your question. As a Minister of Economy and Innovation, I also worked a lot in Lithuania to decrease administrative burden. But it is very important to know that it cannot be a mechanical move. And I think it was discussed with previous commissioners designate that it's not going to be. Most importantly, I will definitely ensure that by decreasing administrative burden, we don't lower our environmental legislation, which is important, which will have to increase. And as I have talked regarding biodiversity, we have ambitious goals, but those ambitious goals can be achieved only by implementing across the sectors that legislation, environmental legislation.